The discovery. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the observation deck of Mining Station Alpha, watching the massive excavation robots tear through the asteroid's surface. Epsilon 7 had been humanity's most profitable mining operation for 3 years now, yielding rare metals that powered Earth's expanding fleet of interstellar vessels. The asteroid was large enough to house 200 miners and their families, creating a small but thriving community in the depths of space. Elena sipped her morning coffee and smiled as she watched children playing in the station's central plaza. These kids had been born among the stars, and they seemed more comfortable in zero gravity than their Earth-born parents. The sight filled her with pride. Humanity had come so far from their homeworld, adapting and thriving wherever they went. "Commander, you need to see this immediately," came the urgent voice of Dr. Marcus Chen through her communicator. The xenobiologist rarely sounded excited, but today his voice carried an edge of wonder and concern that made Elena set down her coffee and head straight for the excavation site. She found Marcus standing beside a massive hole that the mining robots had carved into the asteroid's core. The walls around the excavation site hummed with a soft blue energy that Elena had never seen before. Strange symbols covered every surface, glowing and pulsing like a heartbeat. "What am I looking at, Marcus?" Elena asked, stepping closer to the edge of the pit. "Something that shouldn't exist," Marcus replied, his eyes wide with amazement. "According to our scans, this technology is over 50,000 years old, but it's still active. The energy readings are off the charts, and the symbols appear to be some kind of advanced programming language." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. In all of humanity's exploration of the galaxy, they had never discovered anything like this. Most alien civilizations they encountered were roughly at the same technological level as humans, give or take a few centuries of development. This was something far beyond anything she had ever imagined. "Have you tried to communicate with it?" she asked. Before Marcus could answer, a ship's alarm echoed through the station's communication system. Elena activated her wrist communicator and connected to the control center. "Commander, we have a vessel approaching," reported Lieutenant Torres from the communications bay. "It's not human design, but they're broadcasting on standard diplomatic frequencies." Elena looked at Marcus, who nodded toward the mysterious technology. "This can wait," she said. "Let's see who our visitors are." 20 minutes later, Elena stood in the station's docking bay as a sleek, silver vessel connected to their airlock. The ship was beautiful in an organic way, with curves and flowing lines that suggested it had been grown rather than built. When the airlock opened, a tall, graceful being stepped through. The alien stood nearly 7 feet tall, with pale blue skin and large, expressive eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. Its movements were fluid and precise, and it wore robes that seemed to shimmer with their own inner light. Elena had studied the files on known alien species, and she recognized this being as a Kilari, a race known for their peaceful nature and extensive knowledge of galactic history. "Greetings, Commander Vasquez," the alien said in perfect English, its voice carrying musical undertones. "I am Zixith, speaker for the Kilari Trade Collective. We received energy signatures from your mining operation that concern us greatly." Elena gestured for the alien to follow her to the station's conference room. "What kind of energy signatures?" she asked as they walked. Zix paused for a moment, as if choosing words carefully. "Commander, what you have discovered is not merely ancient technology. It is a weapon system created by the Vorthan Empire, a civilization that ruled this part of the galaxy before your species even developed agriculture." In the conference room, Elena activated the holographic display and showed Zixith the images from the excavation site. The alien's large eyes widened with what Elena could only interpret as fear. "This is worse than I thought," Zixith whispered. "Commander, this is a Vorthan Guardian station. They built these throughout the galaxy as a defense against something terrible." "Defense against what?" Elena asked, though she was beginning to fear the answer. Zix stood and began pacing the small room. "The destroyers, Commander. Machines that consume entire planets, turning all matter into more of themselves. The Vorthan Empire fought them for 1,000 years before they fell. These guardian stations were their final attempt to protect younger civilizations. Alina felt her blood run cold. Are you saying these destroyers are still out there? They never stopped, Commander. They simply moved to other parts of the galaxy. But if this station is activating, it means they have returned to this sector. Zix turned to face her, and Alina saw genuine terror in the alien's ancient eyes. You must evacuate this station immediately and warn your homeworld. Alina was about to respond when Lieutenant Torres' voice crackled through the communication system. Commander, we're detecting massive energy spikes from the excavation site. Dr. Chen says you need to get down there right now. Alina and Zixith rushed back to the mining site, where they found Marcus staring at displays showing energy readings that seemed impossible. The blue glow from the ancient technology had intensified, and the symbols on the walls were moving, rearranging themselves in patterns that hurt to look at directly. It's like the system is booting up, Marcus explained, his voice filled with awe and terror. These energy levels are beyond anything we can measure. If this thing fully activates, it could power a small moon. Zixth approached the edge of the excavation site and began speaking in what Alina assumed was the Kilari language. The alien's voice rose and fell in complex patterns, almost like a song. To Alina's amazement, the ancient symbols responded, their movement becoming more organized and purposeful. What are you doing? Alina asked. Trying to communicate with the Guardian's artificial intelligence, Zixth replied without taking its eyes off the symbols. The Kilari were allies of the Vorthan Empire. Some of their knowledge was passed down to us. Suddenly, the entire asteroid shuddered. Emergency lights began flashing throughout the station as the artificial gravity fluctuated. Alina activated her communicator and contacted the control center. Taurus, what's our status? Commander, long-range sensors are detecting something massive approaching from the outer system. Multiple contacts, moving faster than anything should be able to move. Estimated time to arrival: 6 hours. Helena looked at Zixth, who had gone completely still. Is that them? The Kilari nodded slowly. The destroyers have found us. Commander, you must send a message to Earth immediately. Tell them to prepare for war unlike anything humanity has ever faced. Elena ran to the communications center, her mind racing with the implications of what she had learned. As she began composing the distress signal, she could hear the ancient technology humming louder with each passing minute. Whatever the Vorthan Empire had built here, it was preparing for battle. Emergency transmission to Earth Command. Elena spoke into the long-range communicator. This is Commander Elena Vasquez of Mining Station Alpha. We have discovered ancient alien defense technology and are under imminent threat from hostile machines known as destroyers. Request immediate evacuation and military support. The threat level is extinction class. This is not a drill. As she sent the message, Elena wondered if Earth would have time to respond, or if humanity was about to face the same fate as the mighty Vorthan Empire. She looked out at the stars and prayed that somewhere in the depths of space, humanity had allies they didn't know about, or weapons they had forgotten they possessed. The ancient Guardian station continued to power up, its blue light growing brighter with each passing moment, as if it were preparing to fulfill a promise made 50,000 years ago. The Awakening. Admiral Sarah Cross stood in the command center of Earth's most classified facility, buried 3 miles beneath the Swiss Alps. The message from Mining Station Alpha had arrived 4 hours ago, and since then, the most powerful people in human space have been making decisions that would determine the fate of their species. Tell me again why we built this place, Admiral Cross said to the man standing beside her. Dr. James Wright, Director of Historical Research Division, pulled up a holographic display showing ancient Earth. 1,000 years ago, Admiral, during what our history books call the Dark Ages, humanity wasn't alone on Earth. We shared the planet with visitors from the stars. The hologram shifted to show strange ships landing in medieval forests and tall, elegant beings meeting with human leaders. The Vorthan Empire contacted us when they were losing their war against the destroyers. They knew their civilization was doomed, but they wanted to give younger species a fighting chance. Admiral Cross studied the images with growing amazement. You're telling me that medieval humans worked with aliens? Not just worked with them, Admiral. They learned from them. The Vorthan shared their most advanced technology with a select group of humans, then helped them hide it until the day it would be needed. Dr. Wright gestured to the massive chamber around them. Admiral Cross looked around the chamber with new understanding. The walls were covered with the same blue symbols they had seen in Alina's transmission from the asteroid. Massive computers lined the room, their design clearly beyond current human technology, yet somehow familiar. The Guardian isn't just technology, Dr. Wright continued. It's a fusion of human consciousness and Vorthan artificial intelligence, the greatest minds of both species preserved for this moment. A technician approached them, her face pale with urgency. Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from the outer system. The mining station is under attack, but something incredible is happening. They moved to the communications center, where screens showed feed from long-range sensors. Alina's mining station was surrounded by dozens of dark, geometric shapes that pulsed with malevolent red energy. These were the destroyers, machines that had consumed countless worlds across the galaxy. But between the destroyers and the mining station, a single figure floated in space. It appeared human in shape, but it glowed with the same blue energy as the ancient Vorthan technology. The figure moved with impossible grace, dodging energy blasts from the destroyer ships while retaliating with beams of pure light. My God, Admiral Cross whispered, what is that thing? Dr. Wright smiled for the first time since the crisis began. That, Admiral, is the Guardian, the perfect fusion of human determination and Vorthan technology. It has been sleeping for 1,000 years, waiting for this moment. On the screens, they watched as the Guardian engaged an entire destroyer fleet single-handedly. The machines that had destroyed the mighty Vorthan Empire found themselves outmatched by something that fought with both advanced technology and human cunning. The Guardian didn't just attack the destroyer ships. It analyzed their patterns, learned their weaknesses, and adapted its tactics in real time. When the destroyers tried to overwhelm it with numbers, the Guardian divided itself into multiple forms. When they attempted to jam its communications, it found new frequencies that shouldn't have existed. It's not just fighting them, observed the technician monitoring the battle. It's learning from them. Every attack makes it stronger. Admiral Cross activated the communication system and attempted to contact the Guardian directly. Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Cross of Earth Defense Force. Please identify yourself. The response came immediately, in a voice that was simultaneously mechanical and deeply human. Admiral Cross, I am the Guardian, created by the alliance between humanity and the Vorthan Empire. I have been waiting for your species to mature enough to understand what you inherited. What did we inherit? Admiral Cross asked. The responsibility to protect this galaxy, Admiral. The Vorthan Empire chose humanity as their successors because they saw something in your species that no other race possessed. You don't just fight for survival, you fight for the future of others. On the screens, the battle continued to rage. The Guardian had destroyed half the destroyer fleet, but more ships were arriving from deeper space. However, something unexpected was happening. Other alien vessels were joining the fight, supporting the Guardian against the machines. Admiral, reported the communications officer, we're receiving transmissions from multiple species. The Kilari, the Centauri Federation, the Crystal Collective, they're all sending ships to support the Guardian. Dr. Wright nodded with satisfaction. The Vorthan Empire didn't just give us the Guardian, Admiral. They left instructions for every species in this part of the galaxy. When the Guardian awakened, it would be the signal for all free civilizations to unite against the destroyer threat. The Guardian's voice filled the command center again. Admiral, the immediate threat has been neutralized, but this was only a scouting force. The main destroyer armada is still approaching. I will need humanity's help to stop them. What do you need from us? Admiral Cross asked. I need you to remember who you are, the Guardian replied. The Vorthan chose humanity not because you were the strongest or the smartest, but because you never give up. When faced with impossible odds, humans find a way to win. That determination, combined with Vorthan technology, is what will save the galaxy. Over the following hours, Admiral Cross watched as humanity transformed from a single-world species into the leaders of an interstellar alliance. The Guardian provided advanced technology and tactical knowledge, while human creativity and stubbornness provided the strategic thinking needed to face an enemy that had conquered half the galaxy. The final battle came when the main destroyer armada arrived, a fleet of thousands of machine ships that blotted out the stars. But they found themselves facing not just the Guardian, but a united coalition of every free species in the sector, coordinated by human tactical brilliance and powered by technology that was 1,000 years more advanced than anything the destroyers had faced before. The war lasted 3 days. When it was over, the destroyer threat had been eliminated from this part of the galaxy, and humanity had taken its place as the guardians of civilized space. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the observation deck of her rebuilt mining station, watching the Guardian patrol the space around Epsilon 7. The being that had saved them all appeared human, but she knew it was something far more complex, a bridge between humanity's past and its cosmic future. Commander, came the Guardian's voice through the communication system. Thank you for discovering the station. Without your curiosity and courage, none of this would have been possible. Elena smiled as she watched ships from dozens of alien civilizations work together to rebuild what the destroyers had damaged. Guardian, I have to ask, why humans? Why did the Vorthan Empire choose us? The Guardian paused for a moment before answering. Because, Commander, when faced with a choice between surviving and protecting others, humans consistently choose to protect others. The Vorthan Empire knew that the greatest weapon against the destroyers wouldn't be technology or tactics. It would be the willingness to sacrifice for the future. As Elena looked out at the stars, she realized that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. They were no longer just explorers or miners or colonists. They were the guardians of the galaxy, protectors of all free civilizations, inheritors of a legacy that stretched back thousands of years. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Guardian continued its eternal watch, ensuring that the light of civilization would never be extinguished again.